Into the Son, the only begotten Son, God put his wisdom. Write that. Write that. This is significant. Put that in a sentence by itself. Into the Son. Put that down. Into the Son. After God travailed, that male, female God travailed with pain and brought forth his Son, he then put wisdom in him. I want you to see this picture. God literally emptied himself of wisdom and put it in his Son. I'm going to prove it to you in a second. In his travail, in the birthing process, in the travailing process of God emptying himself and bringing forth a begotten Son, he took wisdom out of himself and put it in the Son. I'm going to prove it to you. Then, when he put the wisdom in his Son, then his Son brought forth all creation. Get the picture now. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten, the only being that has ever been begotten was the Son. Everything else was created. Only Jesus came forth from the Father. Hang on. Now all of this that we are doing tonight is in the 16th verse. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten. We got to understand all of this in order to appreciate. So now, is anyone beginning to understand why they are saying, for God so loved? Because he travailed. It hurt. He birthed this only Son. And if it travailed and it hurt, that means that something came out of him. He gave up something that pained him. So for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son to the world. Look what he went through in order to birth this Son. Now he's giving him up to the world. Why? Because he so loved the world. And we ain't appreciating it properly because we don't understand only begotten. Stick with me. Look back at that 8th chapter of Proverbs again. Look back there a second. I'm deliberately slow walking so that this can saturate into us. Go back to that 8th chapter of Proverbs. Some people, when they read those verses that we read, 22, 23, 24, 25, let's go on to 26. While as yet he had not made the earth or the fields or the primal dust of the world, when he prepared the heavens, I was there. Wisdom. When he drew a circle on the face of the deep, when he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep, when he assigned to the sea its limits, so that the waters would not transgress his command, when he marked out the foundations of the earth. Then I was beside him as a master craftsman, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him, rejoicing in his inhabited world. And my delight was with the sons of men, which means eventually God inhabited the world when he made it. But before he inhabited, before he did anything that was considered a creative work, the Lord possessed me at the beginning of his way. Now therefore listen to me, my children, for blessed are those who keep my ways, is what chapter 8 goes on. Hear instruction and be wise. Blessed is the man who listens to me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the posts of my doors. For whoever finds me finds life. Doesn't that sound like Jesus? Whosoever finds me finds life and obtains favor from the Lord. But he who sins against me wrongs his own soul. All those who hate me love death. Now, so far, we've only looked at the Old Testament. Let's get New Testament balance, because it will give credence to what we have looked at so far. Dr. Payne. Colossians, first chapter. Look at it quickly with me as I move faster now. We are now going to see how the New Testament corroborates what we have seen from Proverbs 8. Colossians 1, beginning at verse 12. Let me back up and get some context. Verse 9, for this reason we also, since the day we heard it, do not cease to pray for you and to ask that you may be filled with the knowledge of his will in all wisdom and spiritual understanding, that you may walk worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing him, being fruitful in every good work and increasing in the knowledge of God, strengthened with all might according to his glorious power, for all patience and long suffering with joy, giving thanks to the Father who has qualified us to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in the light. He has delivered us from the power of darkness and conveyed us into the kingdom of the Son of his love, in whom we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of sin. Now look closer. Look at verse 15 closely. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For by him, who is him? Jesus Christ. For by him all things were created that are in heaven and that are on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things, everybody say that, were created what? Through him and for him. Creation comes through Jesus and comes for Jesus. But Jesus himself was begotten. Are you there? So once Jesus was begotten from the Father, then all things came through Jesus. And he, verse 17, does this not make clear what Proverbs 8 said? And he is before what?